The Cheney implosion, yes. Yes, you were all waiting for it, weren't you? Be honest, you were. It was a bizarre race. We highlighted this a little bit yesterday. This is a race between the pro-Trump candidate and the anti-Trump candidate, right? Well, which one is which? If you would have asked a few years ago, you would have had a totally different answer. In fact, in 2016, Harriet Hageman was a plotter against Donald Trump. At least that's how the New York Times described it. Basically, she was one of the people who helped organize the attempt to overthrow the primary results to get Ted Cruz in and Donald Trump out in 2016. Then she comes to 2022. She's the pro-Trump candidate endorsed by Donald Trump to defeat Liz Cheney, who is now an anti-Trump candidate, even though she voted for Donald Trump in 2020. Now, of course, she's come out since and regretted that vote, she said. Not sure if we have that headline, but that's the one where she kind of comes out. There it is. She regrets that vote now, guys. She regrets it. But she made it in 2020. The election that everyone was talking about was the election in which she actually voted for Donald Trump. I mean, it's just been a bizarre election. None of this matters, of course. Everyone knew exactly what was going to happen. And I think it hit basically around the level that we thought it would. Liz Cheney was defeated by Trump-backed Harriet Hageman in Wyoming, and it was, shall we say, not close. Not a close race whatsoever. Hageman with 66.3% of the vote, Liz Cheney at 28.9%. Now remember, she won easily just 2 years ago. How fast this stuff all changes. Completely destroyed. It's important to note, too, yes, she's become sort of a national figure because of this Trump opposition. Of course, she was in Republican leadership before that. But, you know, the Cheney family basically, politically runs the state of Wyoming. They're one of the, they're a legendary political family. Like, it's hard to lose races in that state if you happen to be a Cheney. But Liz pulled that one off relatively easily. So she got that one done. An implosion, I think, is a fair discussion point here, because really, like, she never had any problems before. If she hadn't taken this approach, could she have survived this? I mean, I think the answer to that is yes, though she was really more worried about what's coming next, and she wanted to make sure that you knew that she was basically Abraham Lincoln, And this is what every losing candidate says. Abraham Lincoln lost races too. Yeah, I know, but that's probably not the defining part of his career. Just my 2 cents on that one. Representative Liz Cheney compares herself to Abraham Lincoln following a resounding defeat in the Wyoming primary. Here she is doing that.
The great and original champion of our party, Abraham Lincoln, was defeated in elections for the Senate and the House before he won the most important election of all. Lincoln ultimately prevailed. He saved our Union, and he defined our obligation as Americans for all of history.
Now, we can all sit here and mock this, but I mean, frankly, what else are you supposed to do in this moment? She bet big here, right? She bet that the tide was going to turn her way. And in the Republican primary, it did not, quite clearly. When her opponent was announced in this race, she replied on Twitter, "Bring it." She wanted the challenge. Well, she got it. And it did not turn out all that well. So, what would you do after a resounding defeat? Go to the College of Beto O'Rourke and decide you're going to run for president, of course.
Are you considering running for president yourself?
Well, what I'm going to do, Savannah, is spend the next several months completing my work in Congress, obviously completing my work representing the people of Wyoming. We have a tremendous amount of work left to do on the January 6th committee. And also, though, I'm going to be making sure that people all around this country understand the stakes of what we're facing, understand the extent to which we've now got one major political party, my party, which has really become a cult of personality.
You didn't say yes or no, and that's fine if you're thinking about it, but are you thinking about it? Are you thinking about running for president?
That's a decision that I'm going to make in the coming months, Savannah. I'm not going to make any announcements here this morning, but it is something that I'm thinking about, and I'll make a decision in the coming months.
I mean, look, there's absolutely no path here for someone like Liz Cheney in this party right now. This is a party that is Donald Trump's party. You could say that you don't like that. You could say that you love it, but it is just true. It's his party. whatever he wants is most likely going to happen. Now, that hasn't been the case every single time. He's had some high-profile endorsements that have, been smoked in some of these primaries. But generally speaking, it's the party of Donald Trump. That was, I think, the risk going into this. If you don't like Donald Trump back in 2016, is this going to become just a Donald Trump party? Well, I mean, it is basically. It is, and you can like that or not like it, but it is the truth. Here's a piece of evidence to support that. 10 people voted against or for the Donald Trump impeachment. This is the second one, I mean, it's very likely none of them are going to survive that vote. Right now, we know 8 of the 10 are not going to make it. Only 2 House Republicans who voted to impeach Trump may return to D.C. There's 2 more that have survived to this point and could conceivably get in. But even, candidates like Peter Meyer, we've talked about him before in Michigan, who voted against Donald Trump in the impeachment vote, but then, didn't constantly talk about it, did not do the Liz Cheney approach. He even lost a much closer election, but still lost. There's 2 left, 1 in California, 1 in Washington. So we'll see how that turns out. But the bottom line is, if you take a stance like this, generally speaking, if Donald Trump notices and it becomes part of his orbit, and he's on top of it, you're probably going to lose. And look, if you want to take that risk, if you believe something is important enough to say, you should do it. But just know that the voters are going to hold you accountable for that vote, and that's what they did in Wyoming. Whether you think Liz Cheney is right or whether you think Liz Cheney is wrong, the voters of Wyoming are the people who are important here, and they thought she was wrong, emphatically. Now, Alaska also had a pretty interesting election night. Now, Murkowski and her Trump-backed challenger are going to advance in the Alaska Senate race. So this was a primary for the Senate. You get 4 people through to the next round, which will happen in November, and then they will go by ranked choice voting. This is how the vote looked last night. Again, Alaska's weird. It's going to be 2 weeks until we really know what these results are, but Lisa Murkowski was at 43.7%, and her opponent that was endorsed by Trump is at 40.4%, basically, almost tied. So you will see. Now, you would probably think that the Democratic candidate with their 6.2% would probably be distributed more towards Murkowski as we get later on in this race. As the ranked choice voting goes through, we will see how that goes later on. Jacob Rubashkin pointed this out. It's pretty interesting. Now, Peltola is the Democrat in the House race. We're going to get to that in a second. But she won 6,892 votes in the House special election, where she's the only Democrat. In the Senate primary, Democrats combined for just 12,375 votes. Where did the 44,000 plus other voters go? Looks like they went to Murkowski, meaning as much as 2/3 of Murkowski's vote was from Democrat House voters. So that's basically what we're seeing here is Murkowski, while she's still a Republican, is being seen as the moderate in the race, which I guess you'd say that she is. And the Democrats are abandoning their own candidates and moving over to Murkowski. You could see that same thing happening when the ranked choice voting plays out as we go toward the general election. And when that does happen, Murkowski's going to have a very good chance to hold on to that seat. But it's not going to be a blowout. It looks like it's going to be pretty close. Over in the House, this is, honestly, off the top of my head, I don't remember if this is remember, there were 2 elections for the same seat going on the same night in Alaska last night. Amazing. The general election for the special was going on last night. That election will tell you who is going to serve in Don Young's seat. He passed away. Who's going to serve in his seat until January. Then there will be another general election in November to see who holds that seat after January. So there was the primary for that election also going on last night. I know it's confusing. I'm trying to walk you through it, but it's pretty much impossible. But this is how that one looks right now. Now, only 69% of the vote is in. Why? Well, it's Alaska, and who knows what's going to happen. They need at least 2 weeks before we're going to know these results. They will not calculate the ranked choice portion of this vote until these votes come in from overseas and everything. So that's August 31st. So you got weeks before you're going to really know what happened in this race, who's going to get this seat. But if you kind of look at this, what you see is the Democrat is in first place, 37.8%. Sarah Palin in second, 32.1%. Nick Begich is in third with 28.6%. Now, as these extra votes trickle in, this could change. There's still about a third of the vote left as of this moment. to see if these things change. What really is important is who comes in second and who comes in third, because whoever comes in third eventually is going to get their votes eliminated, and those votes will be redistributed to voters' second choice. Now, if you look at this, you've got two Republicans that are making up about 60% of the vote here. So what you would assume would happen is that people who are voting for, let's say, if it holds to be this way, people who voted for Nick Begich, they will have their votes redistributed to their second choice. You'd assume that most of those votes will go to Sarah Palin, though Palin is somewhat of a divisive figure, even in Alaska these days. So it's possible some of those, maybe a third of them, will go to the Democrat. Still, I don't think it's going to be enough for the Democrat to hold there. We will see as we get closer. The fourth place candidate, almost all their votes will go likely to Palin. So we will see how that goes as well. One other race I want to bring up, and there was no election last night that was in regards to this, but I'm obsessed with this race because it's one of the most insane races in the country. This is the Fetterman-Oz race in Pennsylvania. Senate race, huge seat, purple state. Very close primary in the Republican side. Another Donald Trump endorsee, Dr. Oz, squeaks it out by, 1,400 votes. Very, very close. So Dr. Oz gets the primary win and then has gone on to really kind of just disappear. People have noted that he is not running a very good race. It's been bizarre. And it's especially bizarre because his opponent in the race had a massive stroke and almost died. And at this point, doesn't seem to be able to do much of anything. He's barely out on the campaign tour and seemingly can barely speak when he's out. Now, Democrats seem to like candidates that can't speak. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, you may have noticed at the beginning of this particular program, veepthoughts.com, and John Fetterman. They seem to like him now as well. One of the things going around, though, is they're trying to hit Dr. Oz for being, I guess, an elitist, because they've resurfaced a video of Dr. Oz complaining about inflation. Watch.
Thought I'd do some grocery shopping. I'm at Wegner's, and my wife wants some vegetables for crudité, right? So here's a broccoli. That's $2, not a ton of broccoli there. There's some asparagus. That's $4. Yep. And carrots. That's $4 more. That's $10 of vegetables there. And then we need some guacamole. That's $4 more. And she loves salsa. Yeah, there's salsa there. $6. Must be a shortage of salsa. Guys, that's $20 for crudité, and this doesn't include the tequila. I mean, that's outrageous. And we got Joe Biden to thank for this.
All right, so there you go. Now, he's getting hit because people, most people don't say crudité unless you're working at a restaurant. That makes him elitist, apparently. Also, he screwed up the name of the grocery store, which is either Redner's or Wegmans. I don't know. I think you kind of combine those two together. Is that a big deal? I mean, it wasn't a big deal, of course, when Barack Obama said, anyone gone into Whole Foods lately and seen what they charge for arugula? I mean, they're charging a lot of money for this stuff. That was a total made-up scandal back when Barack Obama did it back in 2007. John Fetterman had a response to this video, crudité, as he's pointing to, a packaged dip and vegetable thing. Now, it's smart to put John Fetterman in a photo. Why? Because then he's not moving or speaking. So, I mean, the best way this is the best thing they should be doing. Again, I don't want the Democrats to win this race, but if I were a Democratic operative and I were advising a Democratic campaign, I would say make him invisible until November. The Joe Biden strategy from 2020. Act as if there's a new pandemic, say he's scared about monkeypox or something and hide him in the basement and hope nobody notices, because that's your path to victory. Let me give you this one more time. This is Fetterman attempting to speak post-stroke. And this is, I don't know if there's any doctors in the audience other than Dr. Oz, but somebody needs to do something here.
And you can count on us to eliminate the filibuster if you come out and step with us. We will be able to stand with you in D.C. I gave away the lieutenant governor in Pennsylvania, the only lieutenant governor in the history to do that. And let's get some stuff done for America. Who would ever think that I would be the normal one in the race here? With that.
Yeah, no, people are not necessarily thinking that. The Philly Inquirer has come out and talked about another scandal because, people like to say, well, I mean, he's having health problems. And look, we wish him the best, of course. But, I mean, this is scary, right? I mean, he's having massive health problems, and the Democrats are trying to, weekend at Bernie's this guy into the Senate seat. And I don't know. I never think that's a good idea. But it's not just that. Fetterman's, this is the Philadelphia Inquirer's take. John Fetterman's parents gave him money into his 40s. Republicans say that undercuts his blue-collar image. I don't know. Is that what Republicans say? Do they? How much, I don't know. Did your parents pay for stuff into your mid-40s? Is that a blue-collar thing to do? I guess if you're a very rich family, perhaps that's something that went on. Fetterman has openly acknowledged this long stretch lasting well into his 40s. His main source of income came from his parents, who gave him and his family $54,000 in 2015 alone. Is that blue-collar? He worked as a mayor of Braddock, which paid him $150 a month, and a job he held for over a decade. He says he grew up in a cushy environment in York County. He now earns $217,000. His family's assets are over $700,000, and his parents supported him for nearly 13 years. But blue-collar city. Hey, guys, he's wearing a hoodie. Not to mention stuff like this. A Democratic Senate candidate voted to free convicted murderer who killed 18-year-old for heroin money. He's been constantly voting to free rando criminals, murderers. He seems to be the only one on the council on the board who's actually voting to release a lot of these people. And I guess we should rewrite this. Republicans say Democratic Senate candidate voted to free convicted murderer who killed 18-year-old for heroin money. Because you can't just criticize a Democrat. The only time you can bring up something negative about them is when you say Republicans pounce or Republicans say before you do it. And all of this adds up to, obviously, Dr. Oz and a big comeback, right? He's now tied it up. Maybe he's leading now, right? New poll is out in Pennsylvania. He's down by 16. 16. Good job, everybody. Look, the truth is, election season is already a circus, and it's only bound to get crazier. Will we have a TV doctor in the Senate or a guy who's barely alive? I don't know. Will a former governor and VP candidate go to the House? Sarah Palin, I don't know. Or will the grandson of a guy who died in a plane crash while serving in the same House seat go on to replace another guy who died while serving in the same House seat? Who knows? And will Liz Cheney become president? Well, we have a lot of questions, but not a lot of answers, except for that last one. And of course, the answer to that is no.
If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to our channel so you'll be sure to see similar videos from BlazeTV with the added bonus of signaling YouTube that your voice and opinion still matters. And if you're looking for more great conservative content, check out one of the 2 videos suggested here. And let's go.